I think team teaching is great because students are exposed to different learning styles from the different teachers within their own classrooms.
Students have the opportunity to make other relationships with students and other adults.
The teachers are able to teach the subject that they feel more confident in.
When a teacher has to be gone or there's a substitute within the classroom, there's always another teacher to keep the schedule going, keep the kids on task, and learning continues on.
Another thing that I like about team teaching is that as a newer teacher, I was paired with a veteran teacher, and I feel like it has helped strengthen my teaching style and my instruction because I might have an idea to try something new, but she always helps rein me in and shows me, well, we might try it this way so that the classroom management piece is there.
And along those lines, teaching is no longer a one-person job. We have constant collaboration every day.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Powers,
And I'm Mrs. Cox.
and we team teach, which means there are two of us in a room with 45, 48, however many students we have that year.
And we're both content driven. We were before, and now we kind of mesh it together where we help each other. And so that has been really helpful.
I lead on math and science.
And I'll do reading, writing / social studies all together. And then we kind of help each other throughout the day, which is great because it really helps with on-task behavior to start with. With that many kids, you would think it would be a problem, and it's really not. One of us is kind of always managing the kids, and the other one is pretty much busy teaching, and that works well.
We also have noticed that there's a consistency in our curriculum. When one of us is gone, the curriculum still flows. For example, I was gone last week to a workshop, and she went ahead and taught math, and there was none of those sub-plans that get thrown in the trash.
And then another thing with the strategies, like she was saying with me teaching, is that our content now meshes together so much more. Our cross-curricular happens more authentically than it ever has before because now we just automatically see how writing lends itself towards science and how we can even pull in math here and there, and that has been wonderful.
And I think the kids see it more than before also. For example, today in science on a test we were doing cause and effect, and they were having to respond to cause and effect. They had also been doing that in reading. So what I noticed is kids are more likely to use the strategy now than they did before.
And another thing that we noticed is that we can now give more individualized attention more than we ever could. She can teach a group, I can teach a group, we can pull groups, we can notice who needs to be moved with who. One could do whole class, one could pull a group at the back and keep going. And help, like she was teaching fractions, and I had 4 or 5 kids with me with fraction tiles, and so that was something that I could instantly give them feedback and work with.
And the last thing I would say is that when I'm teaching, and before I would catch most of the kids, but now with another set of eyes in the room, she catches what I don't. So if a kid is needing something, I may not see it, but she usually sees it. And I think it's helped us help more kids in a quicker time.
And the curriculum has just flown together and keeps going. And that's just really, it's been wonderful. I honestly will have a hard time if I ever have to go back to being by myself again in a room because this has just been amazing.
I agree.
Thanks.
You're able to kind of maybe connect to some kids that maybe don't get it. If I don't get science or a math thing, so that I'm able to kind of maybe talk about how I would do it differently. So there's a little bit more different perspectives for the kids to kind of be exposed to.
Also, one advantage is if one of us is gone, we don't have to have some fluff activity for our kids to do while we're gone. So teaching still goes on. Someone else will take up those reins and the different contents, and we just kind of go through and teach as we normally would, just one less person. So, and then we utilize that substitute in a different area, like a small group or something like that. So we don't lose any teaching days.
Which is nice. It's also nice if you know you're going to be sick, you're going to be out. You don't really have to worry about sub-plans because you've already been in the room, so you know exactly what's going on. So there isn't any worry about, oh, do I know what's going on in math or do I know what's going on in science? I'm there and I do know what's going on. Another advantage is it allows us to kind of create some small groups so that we can kind of individualize and meet some needs of some different kids. As you can tell, since we did mention we are co-teaching, so we do have some IEP students who also benefit from having that smaller group instruction and can have things kind of chunked down in a little bit of an easier way. One of our goals is that hopefully kids don't necessarily, I hate to say, fall through their cracks, but you can hopefully kind of pick up on where struggles are going on a little easier and maybe quicker.
I think everyone has their different sensitivities, and along with those perspectives, we each have different things that we tend to focus on in students, and so we're able to, maybe socially, emotionally, this student needs a little bit more, and so one of us picks up on that, whereas another person might be picking up on something different, and so we can combine that as well.
And I think another thing that we thought as an advantage is, we used to all teach our own content in our own classrooms, and now that we're together, we can use a lot of those strategies at cross-curricular. So, some reading strategies we've used in math, we've used in science, we've used in social studies. So we can see a lot of those integration of skills and strategies that we normally wouldn't have being in separate classrooms. So.
And it's a little easier also that if in reading I can pick up, if I'm doing nonfiction, I can pick up body systems that we're working on in science. So it's a little easier to kind of do some cross-curricular combination things so that we're kind of hopefully hitting those areas, and hopefully some of those skills are transferring a little easier since we're here together, and they know that. One of the other things is that we have very consistent expectations. There's no longer that leaving my room and here I expect you to write incomplete sentences in reading and writing, and then going into science or math and thinking that you can just write incomplete sentences or one-word answers. So with us both being in there, we have the same consistencies, the same expectations, and the kids don't kind of try and play us off of each other. Well, Mrs. Smith doesn't expect that, or, well, yeah, but Miss Bledsoe says we don't have that as much since we are together.
So overall, I think that this has been a very positive experience, and I'll be honest, I don't think I would want to go back to separate rooms. So definitely a great experience with team teaching.
I think one thing that you have to be really careful of on team teaching is making sure that the two have personalities. We've worked together in a combination probably 14 years. So there is that relationship that's already kind of been built. So it is a little scary to kind of combine classrooms, combine how you might do something versus how somebody else might do something. So there might be some personality clashes. Thankfully, Penny's pretty laid back, and we don't have to worry about that too much.
And Gabby's coming into the picture this year and been a great combination
Absolutely.
with her. So definitely look at those personalities and make sure you're with someone that you want to be with all day and that you can get along with, and have those combination of things that just work. So.
Then I think it can be a very powerful experience for your students.